Good day everyone. We are the Group 2 and we will now proceed to our report about the monetary policies, tools, and instrument. And before we start, let me introduce ourselves. I am Nino C. Ibaite along with my group mates John Ferdinand Ingente, Lawrence Francisco, Ruben Ranoco, Jefferson Shoson, Bianca Francisco, Francine Geron, and Nadine Imperial. And we are the presenters of today. And here are the things that we will talk about for today's lesson. First, interest rate policy. Second, open market operations. Third, understanding reserve requirement. And fourth, transmission mechanism of monetary policy market rates. Let's now go to interest rate policy that will be discussed by Lawrence Francisco and John Ferdinand Ingente.
So these are the policies of interest rate. The interest rate is essentially the cost of borrowing money or the reward for saving it. So, for example, yung sa borrower, when someone takes out a loan, they pay interest on the borrowed amount. The interest compensates the lender for the risk of lending and the opportunity cost of not using that money elsewhere. For example, if you borrow 1,000 at a 5% annual interest rate, you'll pay 50 pesos in interest rate over the year. And for the depositors naman, when individuals deposit money in a bank, they earn interest rate on their savings. The interest is a way for banks to encourage people to save money as they use those deposits to lend to other borrowers. For instance, if you deposit 1,000 pesos at a 2% annual interest rate, you would earn 20 pesos in interest over a year. So the second one is the interest rate is expressed as a percentage of the principal over a period of time. For example, nagpautang ka nga ng 100,000 which is yung principal mo, and with a 2% of interest rate annually. So within a year, kailangan mabalik yung pera sa'yo ng buo, which is yung principal mo na 100,000, and then yung 2% of the interest rate na napag-usapan, which is 2,000. Bali, totally, kailangan maibalik sa'yo at the end of the year is 102,000. So now let's move on to the third policy. The interest rate policy is set by the central bank, and it is the most important rate since it influences all the other interest rates in economy. The central bank's interest rate policy sets the benchmark for the borrowing, impacting overall borrowing costs and savings and returns. By adjusting this rate, the central bank manages economic activity, controls inflation, and stabilizes the currency. Lower rates encourage borrowing and spending, while higher rates tend to slow the economy. These changes influence various loan interest rates and savings interest rate across the financial system, making the central bank policy a crucial tool for economic management, affecting growth, employment, and lastly the inflation. And the fourth one, the interest rate policy is the rate at which the central bank will pay or charge commercial banks for their deposits or loan. This rate will consequently affect the interest rates that commercial banks apply with their customers, both borrower and the depositor. The central bank sets the benchmark interest, which influences how much it pays or charges commercial banks for borrowing or depositing funds. When the central bank raises this rate, borrowing costs for commercial bank increase, leading them to charge higher rate to consumers and businesses for loans. Conversely, if the central bank lower the rate, commercial banks typically lower their loan rates and may reduce this interest they offer on deposits. This ultimately impacts consumer behavior, affecting both borrowing and saving decisions.
People underspend, the price of goods and services rises too slowly or falls, leading the economy to contract and employment to decline. To boost expenditure and expand the economy, a central bank should cut the policy rate in this situation. Based on this, when people underspend, the economy slows down. This is because less spending means less demand for goods and services, which can lead to businesses producing less and laying off workers. Second, when people overspend, the price of goods and services rises rapidly, leading the economy to grow too quickly and overheat. This leads to many problems, including hyperinflation and bubble crisis. Based on this, when people overspend, the economy can overheat. This means it's growing too fast, which can lead to problems like inflation and asset bubbles. Inflation occurs when prices rises rapidly, reducing the value of money. Asset bubbles happens when prices of assets like stocks or real estate rise too quickly and then collapse. In conclusion, a decrease in policy rate encourages people to spend money. An increase in policy rate, on the other hand, discourages the people from spending. Based on this, changes in policy rate influence consumer spending. When the central bank lowers the interest rate, it encourages people to spend more money because borrowing becomes cheaper. On the other hand, when the central bank raises interest rate, it is discouraged spending money because borrowing becomes more expensive. This purchasing decision will influence the price of goods and services according to the law of demand and supply. These changes in consumer spending affect the prices of goods and services. According to the law of demand and supply, when demand for goods and services increase, the prices tend to rise. While on the other hand, when demand decreases, the price tend to fall.
And now, let's talk about the open market operations. The purchase and sale of securities in the open market by central bank are a key tools used by the Federal Reserve in the implementation of monetary policy. The short-term objective for open market operations is specified by the Federal Open Market Committee. Open market operations refer to central bank purchases or sales of government securities in order to expand or contract money in the banking system and influence interest rates. Open markets benefit both buyers and sellers by providing a low-cost mechanism in which they can trade with each other. Open markets encourage economic growth. Open entry and exit and competition between participants are necessary for markets to function effectively. In the Philippines, the open market operations has three objectives. First is price stability, second is interest rate management, and third is liquidity management. For the price stability, the Bangko ng Sentral ng Pilipinas uses open market operation to manage inflation and keep it within the target range. By controlling the amount of money circulating in the economy, the BSP can influence demand, thereby stabilizing prices. And for the interest rate management, through open market operation, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas influence short-term interest rates which affect borrowing costs for the consumers and businesses, thereby impacting economic growth and investment. For the liquidity management, open market operations help the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas manage liquidity in the financial system, ensuring that there is neither excess liquidity that could drive inflation nor liquidity shortage that could restrict the economic growth. And we will now go to the four types of open market operation. The first one is the main refinancing operations. The main refinancing operations is a key tool used by the central banks in order to manage liquidity and control short-term interest rates in the economy. They are part of the broader monetary policy toolkit and serve as one of the most important mechanisms through which central banks influence the money supply, interest rates, and overall economic activity. One of the examples where the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas used the main refinancing operations is during the pandemic in 2019, where the economic uncertainty led to increased demand for liquidity from banks as businesses and households struggled. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas used the main refinancing operations to provide banks with cheaper access to funds and provide additional liquidity to the banks on the full allotment basis, meaning the banks could obtain unlimited funds as long as they had sufficient collateral. And they also provide extended collateral eligibility criteria to ensure the banks could easily access fundings. These measures ensured that the banks had the liquidity needed to support businesses and households during the crisis, helping to prevent a credit crunch and stabilizing the financial markets.
Good day everyone, I'm Bianca Marie Francisco and I'm gonna talk about the 4 types of open market operation which already started by Mr. Nino. Now let's proceed to the second types of open market operation, which is the longer term refinancing operation. These are the transactions provide liquidity to banks with a longer maturity and usually ranging from several months to years. LTROs are used to support long-term funding needs in the banking sectors. They help stabilize the financial system during period of stress or uncertainty. This is helpful para masuportahan natin yung long-term funding needs ng banking sectors, lalo na kapag nangangailangan ng mas malaking fund or puhunan para sa kanilang mga operations, and ginagamit din ang LTROs para mapanatili nilang stable yung mga financial system, especially during times of economic stress or uncertainty. And sa ganitong paraan, yung mga bangko po ay nagkakaroon sila ng sapat na pondo na magagamit nila sa pagpapatuloy po ng kanilang services, kaya may mga financing challenges. The third types of open market operation, which is the fine-tuning operation. These are ad hoc operations conducted by central banks to smooth fluctuation in market liquidity. FTOs are used to manage unexpected or sudden changes in liquidity and either providing or absorbing funds as needed. They are implemented in reaction to specific market condition, and also this allow the central bank to respond quickly to specific market condition na maaaring magdulot ng stability sa isang operation. And sa madaling salita, ang FTOs ay parang emergency tools siya na ginagamit ng central bank para mapanatiling balance yung sa market and kapag may bigla ang challenges na pwedeng makakapekto sa economy. The last type of the open market operation, which is the structural operation. These are open market operation aimed at adjust the structural position of the central bank's balance sheet related to the banking sectors. They help align long-term liquidity condition with monetary policy goals. Structural operations are used less frequently but are critical for long-term market stability. Ibig sabihin, ina-adjust nila yung long-term liquidity ng economy para masigurado nila na align ito sa monetary policy goal ng bansa, and although hindi ito madalas gamitin, sobrang important ito para mapanatili nila yung long-term stability ng market. Sa pamamagitan din ng structural operation, nakakatulong yung central bank na kontrolin yung supply ng pera at liquidity para maiwasan ang mga financial imbalances sa mas mahabang panahon. And that's all about the 4 types of open market operation. I hope I explained it clearly and all you learned in my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Francisco, and now good day everyone. My name is Ruben Miguel Emranoco, and these are my topic. And first, understanding of reserve requirements. Banks are required to hold a portions of their customers' deposit in reserve, meaning that they cannot lend out all the money deposit. This reserve ensures that banks have enough liquidity to cover withdrawals by their clients po. And for example po is if a bank holds 100,000 in deposits and the reserve requirements is 10% po, the bank must keep 10,000 in reserves and can lend out the remaining 90,000 po. This 10,000 acts as safety net to handle withdrawals po. Second, the reserve requirements history. The idea of reserve requirements began with early commercial banks to protect depositors and ensures bank stability po. It originated in the 19th century when modern banking practices started forming po. During the Great Depressions, many banks collapsed due to insufficient reserves to meet withdrawal demands. To prevent this in the future, countries like the US po institutionalized reserve requirements to maintain financial stability. Third, what does a lower reserve requirements means? A lower reserve requirements means banks can lend out a larger portions of their deposits po, increasing the money supply in the economy. This is a part of an expansionary monetary policy which aims to stimulate economic activity by encouraging borrowing and investment. In 2020 po, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the Federal Reserve reduced the reserve requirements to 0%. This allowed banks to lend more aggressively to business and individuals, helping to support economic activity during the crisis. And lastly po is, what does a high reserve requirements means? Restricts the amounts of money banks can lend, reducing the money supply. This is a part of a contractionary monetary policy aimed at controlling inflations or overheating in the economy by limiting the amount of money in circulations. In the 1980s po, to combat high inflations, the Federal Reserve raised reserve requirements, reducing the money supply. This helped slow down borrowing, contributing to lower inflation rates, but also led to a short-term recession po.
What is moral suasion? It refers to a type of influencing procedure which is applied by central banks to keep the pressure on commercial banks in order to abide the monetary policies that are established. It is carried out by transferring speeches, seminars, and meetings. Moral suasion is the act of persuading a person or group to act in a certain way through rhetorical appeals, persuasion, or implicit and explicit threats. Example, corporate social responsibility. Companies may adopt ethical practices and communicate these values to stockholders, encouraging consumers to support businesses that align with their moral beliefs. When is moral suasion used? A period of expansionary monetary policy is characterized by low interest rates. While a low interest rate regime may allow for economic growth, it comes with a drawback. The central bank is provided with little to no room to enact policy measures to meet its inflation goal. Is a qualitative method of credit control being used by the central bank. Under the method, the central bank uses its moral influence on the commercial banks. It includes the advice, suggestion, request, and persuasion with the commercial banks to cooperate with the central bank.
So now let's proceed to the transmission mechanism of monetary policy and market rates. Monetary policy is a crucial tool used by central banks to manage economic stability and ensure sustainable growth. One of its primary aims to influence market rates, which in turn, after broader economic conditions. The transmission mechanism of monetary policy located is how change in policy rates lead to varying impacts across different sectors of the economy. So first is market rates. Market rates refers to the standard interest rates applied to loans and overall investment within the financial market. They are a reflection of average borrowing cost and consider factors like risk and opportunity, cost of capital. Understanding market rates is crucial as they determine the cost of assessing funds and influence financial decisions for both lenders and borrowers. Second is wealth. Wealth is a total accumulation of valuable resources which can include physical assets like property and equipment, as well as monetary assets like savings and investment. In the economy, fluctuation in market rates affect wealth accumulations. Lower interest rates typically promote borrowing and spending, which can drive up assets value and enhance overall wealth growth. Then third is expectations. Expectations plays a vital role in economic behavior, particularly influenced by central bank decisions. When central banks lower interest rates, it signals a commitment to stimulate economic growth, affecting consumers and business outlook on future conditions. If people anticipate lower future rates, they are more inclined to raise current spending and investment, which can further support economic growth. Then for the last is exchange rates. Exchange rates indicate the value of countries' currency related to foreign currencies, significantly impacting international trade and investment. Central banks can influence these rates by adjusting interest rates. For example, lower domestic interest rates may result in currency depreciation, making exports more affordable and imports pricier, which in turn affects trade balance.
Interest rate decisions. When a central bank alters the policy rate, this change affects market rates and making loans cheaper or more expensive. Imagine the central bank decides to lower the policy rate. This signals to banks that they can now borrow money from the central bank at a cheaper rate. As a result, banks lower their own lending rates, making loans more affordable for consumers and businesses. Wealth effects. With lower interest rates, borrowing becomes attractive, encouraging consumers to spend more and businesses to invest. This leads to increased demand for goods and services, enhancing economic growth and potentially accumulating wealth. Lower interest rates make it easier to borrow money. This means you can buy a house, car, or even just spend more freely. As more people borrow and spend, the economy grows. Plus, as the value of your house or investments goes up, you feel richer and are likely to spend even more. However, it's important to note that the wealth effects can also work in reverse. When interest rates rise, borrowing becomes more expensive, leading to less spending and potentially lower asset values. This can make people feel less wealthy and further dampen economic activity. Expectations and economic activity. The anticipation of future interest rates trends can prompt changes in household and business behavior. For example, if a central bank communicates a future lower rates, businesses may expedite investment projects and consumers might increase purchases. Imagine a central bank announces its intention to lower interest rates in the near future. This communication signals to businesses that borrowing costs will soon become cheaper. As a result, companies might decide to move forward with investment projects that they had previously put on hold. Knowing that they can secure loans at a lower cost in the future, this leads to increased investment and potentially faster economic growth. Exchange rate responses. Changes in the domestic interest rates can affect the demand for the domestic currency. Low rates may lead to depreciation, impacting international trade dynamic. Imagine if the BSP decides to lower its policy interest rates. This makes it less attractive for foreign investors to hold Philippine pesos because they can earn lower returns on their investments. As a result, these investors might sell their peso holdings and buy other currencies like the US dollars when they can earn higher returns. This increased selling of pesos and buying of other currencies lead to a depreciation of the Philippine peso.
Conclusion: the transmission mechanism of monetary policy through market rates is an intricate process that significantly affects economic outcomes. By understanding how market rates, wealth accumulation expectations, and exchange rates interplay, policymakers can design effective strategies to foster economic growth and stability, improve communication from central banks about their policies, and the expected economic trajectory can further enhance this transmission, ensuring a robust response from markets and the economy at large.
And this is where our presentation ends. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have a good day.